Hello everyone and welcome to the online class of Compensation and Benefits Management in MBA Semester 3. This is Dr. Mahesh M. Wanjeri, Assistant Professor from Department of Management Studies, SDM College of Engineering and Technology, Dharwad. Okay. So before I continue with the chapter 1 from unit 1, so let me take a quick recap of what we discussed in the previous session. So, dear students, we have started the discussion on Unit 1, which gives us an introduction to compensation. So, in Unit 1, we have started the discussion on chapter number 1, the pay model. So, before we arrived at the pay model, we learned some basic concepts, which I am going to quickly do a recap of the same. So far in this chapter, we have learned definitions of compensation and forms of pay. So in this session, we are going to learn what is a pay model. So in the previous session, we learned about the how hourly compensation costs for manufacturing workers vary across countries. We had a brief discussion about China. And then we defined compensation from manager's point of view, whereas it is a major expenditure. We learned the definition of compensation from employees' point of view, which is a major source of financial security for them. Then a formal definition of compensation we discussed. Okay, I repeat here it. Compensation refers to all forms of financial returns and tangible services and benefits employees receive as part of an employment relationship. So we discussed a real life example of a components of salary or a salary structure of one of your seniors, okay, by HR recruitment and consultancy firm. Okay, the discussion which we carried out throughout the first session. So these are the total returns of work or forms of pay. So if you can recall, out of total returns are broadly divided into total compensation and relational returns. Total compensation is financial in nature and relational returns are psychological in nature. So further, total compensation is again subdivided into cash compensation and benefits. So we did discuss in detail about these forms of pay. First, total compensation. So in that, cash compensation, base wages, merit pay, and cost of living adjustments. Then in cash compensation, incentives that were short term and long term we discussed. Then benefits, okay, of the cash compensation. And thereafter we discussed about the relational returns from work. So these non-financial returns were recognition and status, employment security, challenging work, and learning opportunities. Okay. So in this session, we'll continue with the chapter number 1, where we are going to learn what is a pay model. Okay. Okay. So before we understand the pay model, first we will learn, okay, what a pay model is used for. Okay. So or what a pay model serves as. So a pay model serves as a reference of A pay model serves as a framework for examining current pay system. So I repeat, a pay model serves as a framework for examining current pay system. So dear students, please try to understand when I say pay system, it is not salary of just one employee. Okay. See, maybe your parents are employed, so they will have a salary structure, components. So that is not pay system. It is salary or compensation of one employee. So what we are talking about here is a pay system. So think about software company, for example. Okay, so there will be marketing people, there will be software developers, designers. Okay, there will be people, okay, who are into human resources. So maybe about 10,000, 20,000 employees are working, okay, in a software company, and all of them will not receive the same salary, all of them will not receive the same promotion. So the system that has a policies and techniques, okay, which specifies how much to pay for each employee constitutes pay system of an organization. So dear students, it is very huge, okay, and very complicated. Okay, so this pay model serves as a framework for examining such a current pay system. So that is the first part. Okay, second part, there are three basic building blocks. Okay, so as you can see here, objectives, policies, and techniques. This is how it is: objectives, policies, and techniques. These are the building blocks of a pay model. So the three basic building blocks of the pay model are compensation, objectives. So before a pay system is designed, okay, an organization decides what objectives this pay system should achieve. So once a pay system is designed and implemented, okay, and the organization tries to measure to what extent the current pay system, okay, enabled them to achieve the set objectives. So that's why I said a pay model serves as a framework for examining current pay system. And second building block of the pay model is the policies. Policies that form the foundation of the compensation system. Policies are broader in nature. Say, for example, policies with respect to promotion, policies with respect to disbursement of incentives. So this is what I am talking about when I say policies, or policies with respect to pay for performance. Then the third building block of the pay model is a techniques. Okay, techniques that make up the compensation system. So techniques include, okay, what combination of the fixed and variable to be paid to each employee. I repeat. So one simple example of a technique is what combination of the fixed and variable pay should be paid to each employee. So these are referred to as techniques. So in this chapter, we are going to learn in detail about, we are going to discuss the compensation objectives and policies. So the techniques that make up the compensation system will be discussed in detail throughout the syllabus and not in this chapter. Okay, so then let me continue. So this is the exhibit of the pay model. So I'll first go through the points and then I'm going to explain them one by one. So objectives. So the broader objectives of any pay system can be, for example, increasing efficiency by way of increasing performance, improving quality, delighting customers and stockholders, and controlling costs. Okay. And fairness is the second objective of the pay. The pay which is paid to different employees should be fair enough. It should not be unfair. Then third objective of any pay system, okay, should be, it should comply with the laws and regulations of the wages in that country. So this is the compliance. So the object of any pay system should have these three objectives which can be measured once the pay system is designed and implemented. And based on these objectives, policies are framed. So these policies refer to internal alignment, external competitiveness, employee contributions, and management of the pay systems. Okay. So and techniques, okay, connect the policies with the objectives. In fact, techniques, okay, tell a company, okay, how and how much to pay to each employee. So as I mentioned, so the techniques will be discussed throughout the syllabus, okay, not in this chapter. So with this understanding of the pay model, the three building blocks and this exhibit will make a beginning to understand, okay, building block 1 objectives and building block 2 policies. So I hope you are with me. Okay, the first building block of a pay model is compensation objectives. So the first objective any pay system should achieve is efficiency. So when I say efficiency, it is measured in terms of performance, quality, customer satisfaction, and stockholder satisfaction. So a pay system can set objectives in terms of improving performance of the organization, increasing quality, and increasing or delighting the customers, or increasing the stockholder satisfaction or delighting the stockholders. So how a pay system can achieve this objective? I'll give one simple example. Okay, say for example, if one of the objectives of the pay system is delighting customers, means increasing customer satisfaction. Okay, the in the pay system, okay, the pay can be made based on performance or customer satisfaction. Say consider a departmental store where high level of customer service is provided. Shopper Stop is an example for a departmental store where customer high level of customer service is provided. So the customer sales associates, okay, who attend to the customers who walk into the store, their pay system can be, okay, aligned on the basis of pay for performance. So these sales customer service associates, okay, performance can be measured by way of taking feedback from the walk-in customers. To what extent they were satisfied with the services provided by the customer service associates who attended them and helped them. So once you have this feedback and analyzed, so you can identify that each customer service associate might have performed at a different level. Okay, so each customer service associate might have delighted or satisfied the customers at different levels. So based on this, the performance can be, the pay can be paid. Now knowing this, the customer service associates will definitely are highly motivated to delight their customers or improve their customer satisfaction. So dear students, it's a very simple way. I explained what is efficiency, how it is measured, and how efficiency can be one of the objectives of compensation, okay, and how it can be measured. Then it may be also about controlling labor costs. See, there is a limit beyond which if the company pays, it is going to add to the total cost of the company. So if you remember how a manager defines compensation, it's a major expense. So if the labor costs are going to be very high, the total cost will be higher, so as the profitability will be lower and the stockholders will not be satisfied. So this is how it is interlinked. So that's why one of the objectives of pay system should take into account controlling the labor costs. The second objective of the compensation system should be maintaining fairness. So in fact, it is the fundamental, fairness is the fundamental objective of pay systems. Okay. So like since number of employees work in the organization, okay, the company should not do injustice, okay, where employees feel that some employees are paid unnecessarily more than others without proper justification. Say for example, there are two employees whose experience is same, skills are same, performance level is same, and one gets promoted and other remains in the same position. So definitely we say such a pay system is not fair. So that's why it is said. How it affects? It directly affects the efficiency or productivity of the organization. The employee who is not being promoted, though he is eligible, he will continue to put same amount of efforts or he will reduce the amount of efforts. So this way directly affects productivity and performance of the organization. So fairness is a fundamental objective of pay system. Fair treatment, okay, the organization should treat fairly by recognizing both employee contributions and employee needs. So employee contributions, when we say in any organization, all employees do not contribute equally to the organization goals. So the pay should be pay for performance. Depending on the performance of each employee, the employee should receive the pay. So that is what we say employee contribution. In that case, all the employees will be happy and satisfied. But provided the contributions are measured and they are made available to all the employees, and it should be a transparent process. Now, similarly, okay, when we say that the compensation system is fair, when the compensation or wages meet the employee needs. Say, for example, if an amount is paid to an employee, okay, and the employee is unable to take care of even the basic necessities like food, clothing, shelter, education of the children, health. So if the total amount of the wages or compensation cannot fulfill the employee basic needs, then we say the wages or the pay is unfair. So the second objective of the compensation should be, it should try to maintain fairness. And also, other than that, the compensation should try to maintain procedural fairness. So I gave you a small example. Say there are two employees. Okay, so one gets promoted and other remains in the same position. So there should be a transparent process, okay, which has specific criteria on what basis the employee is being promoted. Say, be it is performance. In that case, how performance is measured, and what is the performance of the employee who is being promoted. So this way, there should be procedural fairness in terms of promotions, procedural fairness in terms of disbursement of incentives. Then we say the compensation system or pay system is fair. So the second objective of any compensation should be to be fair. And definitely once the compensation system is designed and implemented, it is possible to review whether the compensation system is fair or not. Definitely it is possible. Then the third compensation objectives is compliance. So when we say compliance, the pay system or the compensation system should conform to the federal, means central and state compensation laws and regulations. Say in India until 2019, the wages were governed by the Minimum Wages Act of 1948. But in 2019, okay, the new government passed Code on Wages Act 2019. Okay, the new government passed Code on Wages Act 2019. Okay, so when a company or when an organization develops a pay system, so this pay system should comply with the central and state government laws and regulations that govern or deal with wages or compensation. So in this law, okay, it is specified how the minimum wage should be calculated in different sectors. Say for example, if an organization is paying the wages lesser than this, it means the organization is not complying with the central and state government laws and regulations. So the compensation should achieve the objective of compliance. Otherwise, the company will be in serious trouble. So there will be inspectors who come and inspect, okay, the wages, how much wages are paid, and whether the wages comply with the central and state laws and regulations of Minimum Wages Act. Okay, now it is the Code on Wages Act 2019. If they are not complying, okay, they are served notices, penalty is put, and it is see to it that the organization complies with the central and state governments, compensation laws and regulations. So the third and equally important objective of compensation is compliance with the central and state compensation laws and regulations. Okay, so let me sum up the first building block of the pay model, objectives. So objectives serve as a guide, okay, in design of the pay system. So objectives guide the design of the pay system. So we can understand now how and why. Objectives serve as the standards for judging success of the pay system. So whether the pay system is fair or not, whether a pay system is efficient or not, whether a pay system is complying or not with the central and state government laws, okay, it can be measured, okay, against the objective set. So objectives serve as the standards for judging success of the pay system. Then policies and techniques are means to reach the objectives. That is how I said techniques connect the policies with the objectives. So after this, okay, we'll move on to the second building block. I'll just go back to the exhibit. So just now we discussed objectives, efficiency, fairness, and compliance. So if you have any query, you can make a note of it. And at the end of the session, please do remember to ask your doubt and clarify it. Now we'll move on to the second building block, policies. Internal alignment, external competitiveness of the pay system, employee contributions and management of the pay system. Okay. So the first part of the policy. So there are 4 policy choices for an organization which must take into consideration before designing a pay system. Our policies deal with these 4 parts or choices. The first part is internal alignment. Okay. So try to understand first before I explain the PowerPoints. See, if there are many employees working in an organization, and definitely one employee will compare his or her salary with the other employee. So internal alignment focuses on this and the impact of this comparison. So I repeat, if there are many employees are working in an organization, so it is tend to happen that one employee will compare his or her salary with the other employee. So, and this comparison will have an impact directly on the performance of the organization. So this is called as internal alignment. Okay. So company should focus on comparisons among jobs or skill levels inside a single organizations. So when the employees are going to compare, okay, their salaries with the other employees in the organization, definitely the company must focus on this comparison that are made among jobs or skill levels. So for example, how much a marketing executive is paid, how much a HR executive is paid, how much a software developer is paid, how much a software designer is paid, for example, definitely there will be comparison. Or in case of inside sales, there is something called the inside sales. One of the property advisory firm that has recruited our students. Okay, so they have placed 3 girls in inside sales, and they have placed 4 boys in outside sales. So the salary of the students who are placed in the outside sales field work is higher. Okay, it is close to 3 lakh rupees, and whereas the salary of the students who are placed in inside sales, their salary is approximately 2 lakh rupees. So there is a difference of 1 lakh rupees. Same way, even Byju's, the learning app, there are 2 jobs, one is inside sales and the other is field work. So the salary of the students who will be working in field is higher compared to the students who will work in inside sales. So I am talking about this type of an comparison. It is called as internal alignment. Okay. So the pay relationships within an organization affect employee decisions. Okay. The pay relationships within an organization affect employee decisions to stay with the organization. Say for example, if the employee who is working in inside sales, whose job will be to make cold calls, means random calls, and identify potential customers who have capacity to buy and who are willing to buy, and these are called as the leads. These leads are passed on to the sales executives who are working in the field. So the sales representatives who are working in the field, okay, they go and meet the leads and try to convince them and get the sales order. So if the inside sales executive feels that if I don't provide leads, what the field sales executive is going to do? So he or she may feel that, okay, by giving me a low salary, the company has not done fairness. See how objective will come into picture. And that employee may get dissatisfied. He or she may continue to put less efforts, or he or she may also quit the organization. Okay, then second point, become more flexible by investing in additional training. Okay, so if it is justified that the inside sales and outside sales need different skill sets and different amount of efforts, okay, and that's why the pay is differentiated. If it is justified, if it is fair, okay, it may motivate the inside sales rep to acquire those additional skills by way of training, and try to get promoted to the level of field sales executive, right? Okay, so that is what about second point. Third is seek greater responsibility. So by doing so, the inside sales executive is trying to seek greater responsibility for a greater reward. So this is about internal alignment. So while framing the policy with respect to differences in the salaries working within the same organization, okay, the company has to consider these factors. Okay, in that case, the employees will be highly motivated, okay, and the pay system will be fair. The second policy choice or second approach is external competitiveness. So whereas internal alignment is where employees compare their salary with other employees in the same organization, external competitiveness is about, okay, employee of one organization comparing his or her salary with a competitor's employee. Say for example, if you are working for Procter and Gamble India Limited as a sales officer. Okay, the sales executive or sales representative of Procter and Gamble will compare his or her salary with Hindustan Unilever Limited, because the nature of work will be exactly same. Up to 90%, I will say the nature of work will be same. So then definitely the sales representative of Procter and Gamble will compare his or her salary with the sales representative of Hindustan Unilever Limited. Same way. Okay. The sales representative of PepsiCo India will compare his or her salary with the sales representative of Coca-Cola India. So that is what is about external competitiveness. So compensation relationships. So on what the organization should focus in this case or in this policy choice. Compensation relationships external to the organization. So when employees make comparison with their competitors, okay, the effects of decisions regarding how much and what to pay. The effects of decisions regarding how much and what to pay forms to ensure that pay is sufficient to attract and retain employees. See, it is quite simple to understand. So the policy of the pay system should focus on ensuring that, okay, our company or organization should pay sufficient salary to attract, not only to attract good talent but also to retain employee. Say example, PepsiCo India, okay, can, okay, ensure that how much salary they pay. By that they should be able to attract a good talent, as well as the employee should be satisfied and retain in the PepsiCo India itself. You should not try to switch the company in the same position. And second effect, to control labor costs to ensure competitive pricing of products and services. See, let us say, for example, when in my hypothetical example, it is, please remember, okay, in an attempt to attract and retain employees, if PepsiCo pays a higher salary, let us say, if PepsiCo pays a higher salary, okay, if they want to increase the salary, see, directly the labor cost will increase. When the labor cost increases, the total cost per unit also increases. Okay. And when the total cost per unit increases, either company's profitability decreases when the company maintains the same price, or if the company is forced to increase the price, the demand decreases. Okay. So that is why the company should consider this effect of controlling labor cost to ensure competitive pricing of products and services. See, now I hope you are able to understand the depth of what a pay system is. It is not just about one person's salary. Second, third policy choice for the organization is employee contributions. See, employee contribution, when I say first listen to me, then you can focus on the PowerPoint. As I mentioned earlier, okay, every organization will have set some goals in terms of market share, in terms of profitability, in terms of market capitalization, for example. Okay, and employees work together to achieve these goals. But one thing is for sure, each employee will not contribute equally to the achievement of the organization's goals. So in that case, to motivate the employees and maintain fairness, organizations pay for performance. That is what is referred to as employee contributions, because each employee do not contribute equally to the performance of the organization. So the focus of the company should be relation emphasis placed on employee performance. So performance based pay affects, but okay, so when we say the focus should be on relation emphasis placed on employee performance based pay affects fairness, because two employees who are working in the same level, say for example, two sales representatives are working, okay, and the compensation system designed is pay for performance, and both the sales representative have a target of 10 lakh rupees per month. Let's say in that month one employee achieves, okay, exactly 10 lakh rupees sales, another employee achieves 12 lakh rupees sales. So as per the pay for performance, the pay of the second employee will be higher because he has outperformed his counterpart. Okay, so in that case again, okay, the first employee may feel that no, we both are in the same organization, we both perform same function, yet the pay is differentiated. So this point has to be taken care, okay, by the organization while designing the pay system. Okay, so if the policy related to pay for performance is logical, justifiable and transparent, so this can be avoided, this problem can be avoided. Okay, then the last policy choice for the organization is management. See, let us say the objectives are set, okay, what objectives the pay system should achieve, then the broader policies are designed. For example, okay, promotion policies, for example, let us say pay for performance policies, for example, and various other aspects, pay based on experience, skills, okay, age and so on. But one needs to ensure that the salary is actually paid according to the policy, so we call it management. Okay, it is nothing but about the proper implementation of the pay system and control of the pay system. So management of pay system focuses on policies ensuring. So these are also policies to ensure that right people get the right pay for achieving the right objectives in the right way. So just mere designing the pay system is not an end in itself. The system which is designed has to be successfully implemented and should help achieve the objectives that are set prior to the policies. Okay. Then the last part, Techniques. Okay, so as I mentioned initially, techniques connect the policies with objectives. At this stage, I just want to say that techniques tie the four basic policies to the pay objectives. Okay, there are many variations exist across industries and companies. Some of these techniques will be discussed throughout the book. Okay, so because they are more elaborative in nature, they cannot be discussed in brief in chapter number 1, which is basically an introduction to compensation. Okay, so I hope the discussion was okay, interesting. Okay, now I conclude here for chapter 1, and now the session will be open for interaction. So dear students, if you have any doubts, any questions, please ask and clarify. Other than questions, if you want to share any information related to compensation which is interesting, you are most welcome. Thank you.